Mayor Watson, thanks so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So, Mayor, the campaign for and against Proposition Q has been vigorous, with several business and real estate development groups in opposition. How confident are you that it will pass?
Oh, I years ago quit setting odds on outcomes of elections like this. I think it's been good that there's been a vigorous campaign. I'm always pleased when there's a level of discussion, regardless of how I feel about what I want the outcome to be. We'll get this last little week and a little bit more behind us, and then have Election Day. And as I said the night that we passed the budget that would create the opportunity for a TRE, I said it's now time to trust our voters. And I feel very strongly about that. And so I'm real pleased that the voters have a chance to weigh in on this.
And voters in this area have historically approved a number of tax increases in recent years. But this time, are you concerned that voters may just be tired of them?
Well, there is that. And in addition to that, as I said all during the budget process, and I feel strongly that people right now, they feel the affordability issues in our community. They want us to be looking at it from through that lens, if you will. So I feel very strongly that part of what people are looking for is how do we balance the affordability concerns that we have in our community with the need to be able to pay for the services that we also want at the same time. So it's with everything else going on, with what happened last year with tax rate elections, with inflation, all of those extra costs, it's legitimate for people to be considering all of those ramifications.
And the city is facing a $33 million budget shortfall, and city leaders have blamed sales and property tax revenues not recovering from the pandemic, as well as federal budget cuts as reasons for this. Why raise taxes now? Well,
because we're a growing city, and we're a city that has real significant needs, and we need to be able to cover those needs. For example, in this tax rate election, and one of the key parts for me on wanting to have a tax rate election is we have an issue that I consider to be a humanitarian crisis in our community, and that's addressing homelessness. One of the things that's very important in all of that is that when I came into office, I felt like the system was broken. So one of the things we did is we created an office, a standalone office to deal with homeless strategy. We put a really great person in that position, and they've done a good job. And as part of that good job, what they did is they've created a plan for how we address homelessness in our community. This would fully fund that homeless strategy office. That is something we really need. Around half of the TRE would go to fully funding the homeless strategy office and getting that plan put in place. Another 10% is related to emergency medical services and needs there. Another 10% is related to wildfire prevention and firefighters. A little over 20%, or right at 20%, deals with public health. So we have very real needs that this would address, and even, so it goes back to my point a minute ago. This is an effort to try to balance the issues of affordability, which I take very seriously, with the needs that our growing community has, and they're very real needs.
And it is, though, important to note that property taxes will go up regardless of this election, but the increase will be much smaller if voters say no to Proposition Q. If voters do indeed say no, what are you most concerned about? Losing momentum in addressing the homelessness crisis? Something else?
Yeah, sure. There's two things that jump in my mind when you ask that question. One is we will not be able to fully fund the homeless strategy office. We will not be able to fully fund our plan for how we address people living homeless in our community. And I will tell you that that's probably the number one thing I hear about from people in terms of what they want to see the city do. Unfortunately, it's very expensive in order to meet those needs. The second thing I'm concerned about is right now, 100% all of our property taxes go to public safety. 70% of our sales tax goes to public safety. But if all of your property taxes go to public safety right now, and we're not able to make incremental increases, then we're in a position where it makes it even difficult to do more in public safety. So we're in a position where it's important. I think you're going to start seeing more and more around the state, communities that are growing like we are and have needs like we do, having tax rate elections. And I worry that if we don't do this, then we will be in a situation where we're going to regret it because we're not paying for things that people want us to pay for.
And these are certainly very thorny issues that Austin voters are facing and have been dealing with, and issues not unique to Austin, but major cities across the nation are facing. Mayor Watson, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on the tax questions facing Austin voters.
My pleasure. Appreciate y'all doing this.
Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave us a comment below to let us know your thoughts on this video. And don't forget, you can watch full episodes of Austin Insight for free in the PBS app.